I'm going to show you how manipulative the U.S. government is and how they try to fool us, Kamala Harris and the SBA, in talking about small minority businesses and grants and funding. Okay, look at this and pay attention to the numbers that I'm circling. Okay, so let's get it straight. Every year, this is the manipulation and the spin. They put Kamala Harris on there and saying, oh, 175 million grants, because they know she's not doing well in the Black American community. They know she doesn't do shit for us. So they have to fucking now manipulate us and trick us with these false lies. Let me tell you something about minority and the SBA. It is required to give small businesses money every year. Go back and look at the numbers and look at the years. Every year they give money, and every year they're giving hundreds of millions of dollars away. Don't let them spin it because it's election year and try to make it seem like they're doing you something, a solid, because you don't have the facts and the data and you don't know that they do fucking every year. It is a federal requirement, and let me give you the history behind it. They are federally required to do a set aside to minority and small businesses every fucking year. It's required. 10% at the minimum. And guess where this comes from? Original Black Americans, even though most of it doesn't even go to us. So again, the tethers have tethered themselves to a cause. Let me tell you the history behind this. Maynard Jackson, I think he was the first original Black American mayor of Atlanta. Let me tell you why the reason why Atlanta is Atlanta for original Black Americans. Maynard Jackson, when he became mayor and started courting the Fortune 500s, he told everybody who was doing work in Atlanta, you can come and build in Atlanta, but you have to set aside 10% of your contractors have to go to minority owned businesses. And specifically, he intended them for original Black Americans. He said, if you can't, and a lot of the white boys came through and were like, oh, we can't find any Black contractors that are qualified. He said, well, if you can't find the qualified Black contractors, original Black American contractors, you can't work in Atlanta. He's like, you can't work in. Maynard Jackson built that airport. That's why it's called Hartsford Jackson. So during that time, the federal government copied the blueprint that Maynard Jackson did with that 10% set aside. And they said, okay, you know what? We're going to set aside 10% of all federal contracts through the SBA, which is the Small Business Administration, to give to, it was supposed to be mostly for us, original Black Americans, but of course the tethers and the Democrats and Republicans didn't want us to have that much power, but said we're going to set aside 10%. So it is a federal requirement to set aside 10% anyway of the $700 billion that they spend in contracts annually. Stop letting these motherfuckers trick us because we don't know the information. We don't know the data. And I'm insulted. How are you going to put on, it's like, let's just say, this is like Kroger's or a grocery store saying, guess what? We're going to sell food today. Like, you sell food every day, motherfucker. What's special about that? Oh, we're selling more food today. Well, I know how much you sold last year, and it seems like it's actually a little bit less. So what are you doing different? Nothing but marketing. So go back and look at the numbers, because what I posted was it is Small Business Administration. They're supposed to get small businesses this shit. They have to. That's their whole job. That's why it's called the Small Business Administration. It represents veterans, women, minorities, disadvantaged businesses, economics, and I think a few others that I'm not naming. It's election year, and they're gonna try us. They're gonna try us. They tried us with saxophones or doing the dancing, and so they're trying to fool people like me, who has a little bit more knowledge and education, but not enough understanding of what the fuck is really happening. But I know what's going on, and I know what they're supposed to do anyway. So don't let them, give you, take something out the trash, pull it back out, and put a bow on it, and tell you it's something new. So I just want you guys to be educated on what's going on. So go back and look at those numbers. Do your research if you don't believe me. Go do your research and see, is the federal government required to give small businesses a certain amount of money every year? And then go look at how much money they give every year to all of those businesses. Don't let them put a fucking bow on a pig. And then you're like, see, she is doing stuff for us. That's a fucking lie, and it's just getting insulting at this point. Okay, look at this and pay attention to the numbers that I'm circling.